The country is on fire, and a few African proverbs on which I have pondered come to mind. One is, when your house is on fire, you don't choose who to help you put out the fire. They also say that if you can't handle the heat, stay out of the kitchen. But in SWAPO, you get shuffled right out of the kitchen and a more tried and trusted chef is brought in to replace you, whilst you hopefully gets to while your last days away at the office of the Prime Minister. A number of public servants have been strategically moved to other positions in the wake of revelations made in the bail applications of disgraced former Fisheries Minister Bernard Esau and his son-in-law Tamsin Hatukilipi. Most notably, a general manager at the Namibia Central Intelligence Service has been appointed as the new deputy at the Anti-Corruption Commission, whilst the former executive director in the Fisheries Ministry has been absorbed into the office of the Prime Minister. This brings another African proverb to mind. When you see a rat running in a fire, then what it's running away from is hotter than fire. I asked activist Olsen Kahiriri to share his views on this reshuffle.
Nelius Becker came to the scene back at the ACC in 2007 after he has retired from investigation in 2004. When he returned back, for Noah it was a great thing because he made it very clear that they are moving to try and kept and be serious with corruption. But it was another different ball game when Nelius Becker, in his own words, in 2019, with the Katrina Hanze Himara case, of which you also interviewed me on, was very clear that Namibia is not ready to fight corruption. And we are talking about a person who was in the thick of things, the person who was investigating everything. So shortly, that was when he was being shifted to the police department at the investigation department. And this is a person who marshaled a lot of arrests. And he was in a center of even the fish rod investigation, which has, to us as a country, which for us is one of the successful corruption events that took place in our era. So what we are seeing in this country is serious issues that has been hidden for years that are coming out, because you can't hide the truth forever, because the truth are now coming up. And you could see from Deitunga when he was trying to cook the moving of Becker to a department of which he does not even have specialities on. The man, if he was probably speaking his native language, he could have made a story.
Here's what the Inspector General had to say, bringing to mind yet another African proverb. Fire is always a good maid, but a bad boss.
He has moved to the forensic lab because Dr. Lutik is going on retirement. The only officer I have to lead is not a scientist, but to lead, because I have a young scientist there. To lead the forensic lab is a person, because he's a sessional detective, then is the person who can really do some justice to that lab.
But why move him now, especially now when you have the fish rod investigation that he is well familiar of? Why are you moving him now?
No, he's not investigating fish rod when he was at the anti-corruption.
Kahiriri continued saying,
he didn't make sense. And these are the clear evidence that we have as a country that Namibian corruption is not tailor-made. It is really gazetted in our structures. It's rooted into our administration. You can see what the president is currently doing. He's shifting the PS of fishery. Everybody is being moved around because the ruling party is alleged to have been involved in corruption. And from the defense of the president, the head of state, he didn't convince even the Namibian people that he's serious about corruption, because you could see from his press conference that he had to try and kill the fire. He's trying to kill the fire, but he's not winning the confidence of the Namibian people that in reality he believes that corruption should be rooted out. And he's not trying to be honest in his actions, because he's making himself a victim every time he comes to the scene. And this is very, very dangerous, because you could see how his statements were trying to be lied to shift SWAPO from the realities that they are the orchestrators and the mothers and godfathers of corruptions in this country. Because what we should understand is, when you have been looting resources of a country and now it's time to pay back, you would have to run around and try and justify things that are not even making sense. Ever since this fish rod thing came to the scene, the president was not making sense. Even a 2-year-old child could see from his lips that what he's saying is totally nonsense. So we must understand that because our system is already captured, corruption is everywhere where you go. In any office of government, where you go, it's corruption. But it starts from the top. And if the top do not put an end to it, you would see the likes of real ushers and people who believes in reality have been moved around. This is not new to the administration of Hage. We know the president's administration is solely the yes people. He would want to surround himself with yes people. And to me, is the guy who will only listen and understand only his shadow. Because if you look at where we are as a country, we are hit with serious crises like the COVID-19. And when Bernard Osiku was busy trying to neutralize these things, he was removed because he's not a yes man. He was facing the reality. And he told us during that time that will be facing the worst. But if he was in charge, because he's the guy who will not listen to the president so much, because he's an expert in a field, but he would be shifted away. So if we have the likes of Nelius Becker, Haufiku, Chopa Mupanda, the Clinton Swarboy of nowadays, the Henny Seibeb, the August Maleskis, these are the guys that the government would try and shift away, because these are the guys who are refusing to subject themselves to being paid not to raise issues that are sensitive to the Namibian people. And seriously, to be honest, these are the people that you will see being fired from portfolios, being removed because what they say is benefiting the Namibian people. And the system does not want the poor to suffer. Look at what is happening yesterday at Twaloloka. The country is in a serious crisis. And I would advise the president with his regime just to step away. They should just step down, because they can't handle what is going on in this situation as we are finding ourselves in.
An African proverb reads, "A long-tailed animal doesn't jump over the fire." Many Namibians criticized government's budget allocation of 60 million for the ruling party, leaving the Anti-Corruption Commission with just 2 million Namibian dollars to carry out its functions. The president responded to this criticism at that press conference he called on a Sunday to deny SWAPOs having benefited from the proceeds of fish rot.
I know people were making that propaganda, and definitely we created that institution, as I said. I was instrumental in it. Somebody to come and teach me that we are trying to underfund it, whereas they know the crisis we are facing. That's not fair. Don't look for excuses. We are setting up these institutions. We love our people. We love our country. We want to see that this country, our country, succeed. Our people happy. Those who are angry, trying to destroy the country, their own country, trying to always bring positive things, negative things about their own country, I'm sorry for you. But definitely we are going to see that our people are going to live in peace, work, hold hands, and build this Namibian house, where all Namibian children will live in peace. Your problems, poverty, and so on, we are going to see to it that we live in this Namibia, our Namibia, as all of us as Namibian children. I finished now.
Our proverbs teach us that the bubbling flames are not the fire. I asked activist Olsen Kahiriri whether he thinks Namibians will see justice prevail with regards to this scandalous case in which it is alleged that SWAPO benefited from money siphoned through corruption.
The games have already been played. It's very clear. The games have been played. And I don't know how long our brother Paulus Noah will hang on to this, because we'll see people disappearing, dockets disappearing. And this is when the system separations of power are captured, because the Chief Justice is not one of my favorite. He's a student of the head of state. He's a former student. So what do you expect? The Itunga is one of the long-serving Inspector General that we have experienced, a guy who does not even make sense. You could even experience from what he was saying as a police general, that when the SWAPO gathering took place and they violated the COVID-19 rules, the guy was very straightforward and he said, SWAPO have never done anything. But down the line, he never even apologized. This is the head of police that we have, who's not neutral. So we are seeing people being removed, but I would urge that the consciousness of the Namibian people is, they have awakened. They are seeing these things. And it won't last forever, because only a handful of people are capturing and controlling these affairs. And it's only a matter of time that it will break up, because they have always been lying to the Namibian people. What they are currently doing is, the country is in a serious financial crisis. The country is falling apart. We cannot even handle corona crisis. Some of the settlements are burning away. And these are the things that we have been raising. We have been saying that we don't have proper infrastructure to deal with crisis of this magnitude. And now when they are running around, you can see for yourself that we are a country that has wasted 30 years of existence. We have not built anything. We have nothing that we can rely on. These are just looters who have been finding themselves in a system for 30 years. And now we can see that they can't solve any problem that is coming in this country.
Our ancestors have taught us that no chicken will fall into the fire a second time. It's getting real out here, and I'm very proud that Namibians are starting to speak out against the atrocities that they've endured under the SWAPO government. I asked activist Olsen Kahiriri whether he thinks that the SWAPO party will survive.
No, the regime has come to its end. To be honest, every political movement, survival is 30 years. And these people have been in power for 30 years. And everything is falling apart for them. If Namibians are so ignorant to still believe that these people can solve Namibian problems, then so be it. But I don't think they can survive another 2 to 3 years, because this is a dying horse. You could see, when last did you see SWAPO having press conference time and again? And a person who always wants to justify things that he has done in the dark will always try and smooth talk the woman. So that's what they are trying to do. That's why they are always on television. Why don't you allow the process to take its course? Don't infiltrate the legal system. Don't infiltrate the police. Don't infiltrate the realities. We want to know what happened to the resources of this country, period. But the biggest things that needs to come is for them to lose territory, because SWAPO nowadays is only liked in the villages where you do not have this media, you don't have this information. In the cities where young people are living in, they are chased out of the blocks. They are not relevant, because the president is not one of the guys who are making the best statements. The guy does not know what he's talking about. So these are the realities that we should face, that in 3 to 4 years, people will be hiding that color called SWAPO. The SWAPO color will be hidden because of the atrocities that they have done to the resources of this country. They have looted the country, and the only thing nowadays, they cannot even loot, because they will look around and look for the shoulders of the activists of this country who are brave enough to have faced the regime. Because one must understand, us as activists, It's not easy to fight a regime that is well marshaled with the state resources that are ill-gotten and all these things. And you are faced with the defenseless police that is already controlled and being told what to do by the head of state. I think from these elections you will already also see from the cornerstones where young people are actively working the ground that SWAPO is gone. In the south, LPM has taken up and have chased them out of that regime because the day of them looting the resources in the south is gone. When you look in the central, LPM, AR, and all these young movements are already taking in. And mind you, the elections of nowadays, you don't go to the street to solicit support, especially when you want to deal with an arrogant movement like SWAPO. You have to use the social media and make sure that the young people's consciousness is reawakened, because young people are not stupid. They are people who went to school and who understand what is right or wrong. And I think by this time, the young people are fed up. They cannot be told about slogans of liberations and all these things because they've been playing that tactic of we liberated you, but who sent you to exile? We never sent them to exile. By the way, we gave them 30 years to run the country and we honored their statute, and I don't know, if we take over, maybe those statues won't be around. We are going to remove them. So we are going to make sure that as young people, that if these people have to go to the Heroes Eka, we are going to make sure that we pay soldiers not for those ghosts to come and hinder us, because they have a very toxic history that has ever existed in this country, because their history is written in corruption and thievery and destructions of this country. So that's how we'll remember even this regime. For 30 years, it was a total destruction of a beautiful country, beautiful, peaceful country called Namibia. They have lost it and they have sold a very bad picture to the world about Namibia.
The Namibian government's sluggish response to the land and housing crises in the country has seen most Namibians living in makeshift homes. The community of Twaloloka, which incidentally means we are tired, was devastated by raging fires recently. Walvis Bay has been under lockdown regulations for most of this year, despite coronavirus cases having been reported in various parts of the country. The inability of residents to make a living during lockdown has brought hunger and despair for these communities, which now also have to endure the winter cold. African proverbs have taught us that if you want to fight fire, you don't wear a skirt made out of dry grass. The outpouring of support by Namibians following the devastating fire that broke out in Walvis Bay last weekend proves that there is unity in numbers. Namibians rallied together to come to the aid of those affected. I spoke to Andre Book of the Exhibition and Events Warehouse, who took to social media and offered to transport items that Windhoek residents would like to donate to those affected by the fire in Twaloloka in Walvis Bay.
The impact has been tremendous. It's really hit the people hard. And this blow also comes along and it just kind of ignites it further. So it is, it's disastrous, to say it lightly.
Andre said he would refill the truck and transport donated items to Walvis Bay for as long as people keep donating, and encouraged others to assist where they can. In the words of our ancestors, fire does not make fire, only ashes.
There'll be mostly blankets, bedding kind of things, and obviously tents or accommodation, whatever it might be, so that people can get a warm place to stay in. And then food as well. I mean, people have really been displaced now, especially like I said earlier, in as families. People are sleeping outside in the cold, and it's winter as it is now. The
Hochland Roundtable also rallied its associates and came together to support those affected by the fire at Twaloloka.
If anything 2020 has taught us is there is a lot of selflessness that we need to start putting into play, number one. Number two, already given how much the people of Walvis Bay have been struggling with their lockdowns, losses of job, etc., etc. When something of this nature happens, and being involved in an institution or organization such as the Roundtable, it is almost like second nature. You naturally gravitate to it. And seeing what was going on, knowing that we have representation in that area as well, it was only logical for us to start saying, guys, what can we do? And in doing so, we started reaching out, and people, really, the response was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. It was heartwarming. It was touching to see us unite the way that we did. And based on that, solely on that, I had to, make myself available. Pretty much, that's it.
Obviously, Facebook was the first place where we saw the trouble happening. We as Namibian area, we always try to help where we can. We've got 5 tables across the country, which 3 are based in Windhoek and 2 at the coast, 1 in SWAPO and 1 in Walvis Bay. And when this happened, our Walvis Bay table jumped in and said that they would really like to help the community. I mean, we as Roundtable stand for, we are a group of young men between the ages of 18 and 40 that would like to make a change in our community. An impactful change is what we are driving. So when they jumped in, within 24 hours, the community in Walvis Bay, Windhoek, Swakopmund, everybody jumped in to help us to make the lives easier for the people of Twaloloka. So within the 24 hours, which is actually amazing, we've got massive cash donations, which will obviously be used to buy blankets, food, and just make the life a little bit comfortable. We've got 150,000 cash donations already. We have put up 4 massive tents with the help of Coca-Cola and Spot On Catering at the coast for people to live, to sleep under. The Kids Haven community school in Walvis Bay is making food, soup for the people there. Coca-Cola has given us 4 200-litre bins of water, which will be filled daily by the fire brigade in Walvis Bay. The cleanup has begun. Walvis Bay municipality has already put on skips, which was organized through Roundtable for the cleanup to start. And we've received blankets, clothing, whatever is needed, shoes, in excess of 100,000 Namibian dollars, which I think is absolutely amazing. We've sent from Windhoek, we've already sent 2 trucks with the help of Coastal Couriers and with the help of Space Bona to them to help them. So even though we cannot go help in the Irangu region, a lot of people are willing, and we've got their hands on the ground, which is Walvis Bay 36. So it's absolutely amazing.
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And we as a nation are fundamentally prone to a sense of entitlement. We're always wanting government, but government is under its own stress. I mean, we as individuals who are able to, within your little means somewhere, draw $100, take a blanket that's been sitting in your garage for 5 years that you've not been using. Why can't you make yourself available? Why can't you say, okay, wait, let me stand back and leave my selfishness behind and go and offer my service to someone else? So primarily that is where it comes from. That is where it comes from. It's just, let's stop complaining, let's stop expecting, let's just start doing. That is the only way we can start seeing transformational change.
Obviously, Roundtable is a non-profit organization, so we depend solely on the community and businesses out there to help us. We will always help distribute anything that's possible. So you can contact via our Facebook page, Walvis Bay 36 Roundtable, or the Namibian area table, if there's any donations you want to make. We've got a bunch of guys, because we do have day jobs as well, that can help. So I think helping these people will obviously go on for a long time. It's gonna take a while for them to get back on their feet, and we will help as long as we can, as long as we get the support like we are doing at the moment from the community. We'll put in the man hours, we'll give them whatever they need, as long as we have the support of Namibia.
So anyone who is still keen on getting involved, giving whatever it is, and they don't know where to take it to or how to get it to the coast, we are working with Space Bona, a group of companies, and Coastal Couriers. So Our collection point is at Spesbona Mahindra across Noble Ford in Independence Avenue. That is the collection point. So whatever you have, blanket, clothing, food, whatever you have, drop it off there. The transport is being arranged. I mean, as we stand now, we are sitting with an office full of stuff, and there's a truck that's leaving again this afternoon. So, you know, from today, tomorrow, whenever, anything, drop it off there. If you're in the Windhoek area or Kahanja perhaps as well, or if along the route, we can arrange collection points there too. It's something that we can look into, you know. It's not that we're limited, but for Windhoek specifically, that's where you can do it. And yeah, that is important. So if you have stuff, take it through there. Let's get it to the people that need it.
I think I saw a post yesterday on Facebook, a person saying that he's got 15 pairs of shoes and he only uses 4. So with the 11 pairs, he can help 11 people. I think if that's your mindset, even with one blanket, you can make a difference in someone's life. So help us to help the people, that'll be absolutely great.
And with that, it's a wrap. Stay woke with It's a Wrap by following us on our social media pages. It's a Wrap Nam on Insta, It's a Wrap Namibia on YouTube, and It's a Wrap with Erica Gebhardt on Facebook.